Hey, listen! Brie Larson, the Academy Award-winning star of Room, has transformed a transformation that has shocked fans and Hollywood insiders alike. From battling with her own doubts about her career to confronting uncomfortable truths about fame, Larson's journey has been everything but conventional. As she steps into new roles, breaks barriers, and fearlessly speaks out on issues that matter, her evolution is leaving everyone wondering, who is the real Brie Larson, and what's next for this groundbreaking talent? Join us to witness her bold change. Brie Larson's journey into the entertainment world began long before she became a household name. From a young age, she exhibited an innate desire to perform, and this ambition was evident even in her earliest years. In a 2004 interview with Scholastic, Larson recalled how she told her mother that she wanted to be an actress when she was just a little girl. Despite being naturally shy, Larson's passion for the craft was undeniable. Recognizing her daughter's determination, her mother encouraged her to pursue this dream. At the age of 6, Larson was enrolled in acting classes which, although a challenge at first, proved to be a transformative experience for the young girl. It was during this year of acting classes that Larson began to shine, discovering her natural ability to captivate and entertain. This early exposure to acting helped her overcome her shyness, and from that point onward, she found herself more confident and eager to explore the world of performance. By the time she was 15, Larson had already begun to make a name for herself in the industry. However, she wasn't just content with landing roles in TV shows or films. She had bigger aspirations. In the same interview, Larson boldly shared a lofty goal that would define her trajectory in the entertainment industry. "One of my goals is to get every kind of award possible, Golden Globe, Oscar, Grammy, you name it," she declared. "There's only one other person that's done it, and I want to be the second." This statement reflected not only her ambition, but also a deep understanding of the rare and prestigious achievements she aspired to. Larson was referring to the unique accomplishment of winning an Oscar, Golden Globe, and Grammy, a feat that had only been achieved by one other person at the time, the legendary Barbra Streisand. Streisand's illustrious career as an actress, singer, and filmmaker set the bar high, but Larson was determined to join this exclusive club. Her confidence and determination would drive her to work relentlessly toward those lofty goals. Larson's breakthrough role came in 2015 with Room, a powerful film that earned her widespread acclaim. Her remarkable performance in the film ultimately won her the Academy Award for Best Actress, making her one step closer to fulfilling her childhood dream. Along the way, she also earned a Golden Globe for the role, fulfilling part of her aspiration. While Larson's journey has been marked by a series of impressive achievements, her ambitious statement at the age of 15 is a testament to her foresight and tenacity. From the shy little girl who first expressed her dreams to her mother's encouragement, to the award-winning actress who continues to challenge herself, Larson's story is a testament to the power of determination and a clear vision. It is evident that, for Brie Larson, the sky was always the limit. Though Brie Larson is primarily recognized for her impressive acting career, her path to fame was not confined to the screen. Larson's journey in the entertainment world actually began in music, a passion she explored early on and continued to nurture as she grew. In 2005, at just 15 years old, she released her debut album, Finally Out of P.E., marking the beginning of her music career. The album showcased a blend of pop and rock influences, featuring lyrics that were deeply personal and reflective of her teenage years. Even at that young age, Larson displayed a maturity and self-awareness that set her apart from many of her contemporaries. In interviews, Larson was open about her songwriting process, and her music offered an honest and unfiltered glimpse into her life. In a conversation with Kids World, she explained how her music came directly from her own experiences. I think that I write about stuff that others don't write about. I don't have a bunch of love songs because I don't really have much boy experience. I just write about what I am actually going through in my real life, Larson shared. This candor reflected her individuality as an artist, as she chose to write about the things that truly mattered to her rather than conforming to industry norms. Larson's music wasn't the typical pop fare that focused on romance or superficial themes. Instead, it was raw and introspective, revealing a teenager trying to navigate the challenges of growing up, finding her voice, and making sense of the world around her. However, the road to stardom wasn't always easy, and Larson was quick to recognize the struggles that came with being in the public eye at such a young age. She was acutely aware of the industry's focus on her appearance, and like many young stars, she faced the pressures of living up to certain expectations. In the same Kids World interview, Larson candidly discussed the challenges she encountered, including the harsh judgments about her image and the way people viewed her intelligence. One comment that particularly bothered her was the assertion that she was too smart to make it in this industry. "The one that really bugs me is that I'm told I'm too smart to make it in this industry," she explained. "It can be hard sometimes to hear stuff like that." Larson's response to these criticisms highlighted her inner strength and resilience. Rather than letting these comments discourage her, she used them as fuel to push forward, embracing her intellect and not allowing herself to be defined by others' limited expectations. Despite the tough moments, Larson's multifaceted talent never went unnoticed. Her early experiences in the music industry laid the groundwork for her later success in acting, where her talent and authenticity continued to shine. With her ability to balance both her intelligence and creativity, it seems only fitting that Larson has since evolved into one of Hollywood's most respected actresses. It's clear that, with her versatility and ambition, Larson could one day achieve the rarest of honors, an EGOT, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Award. Her determination and multifaceted skills place her in a unique position to reach such a prestigious milestone, and considering her track record, it's easy to imagine her doing just that in the future. As Brie Larson's career continued to gain recognition, she remained deeply focused on perfection in her craft, particularly when it came to her music. Even at a young age, she displayed a level of self-awareness and dedication that went beyond the typical ambitions of someone just starting out in the entertainment industry. Around the age of 18, Larson was reflective about her creative process and the high standards she set for herself. In an interview with Stylist magazine, she opened up about how her experiences, both positive and negative, had influenced her work. She acknowledged that while her personal growth had shaped her artistic expression, it also made her more critical of her own output. For Larson, brilliance wasn't just about creating something beautiful in the moment. It was about crafting work that would endure, that would resonate with people on a deep, lasting level. Her appreciation for Cohen's songwriting showed a desire to connect with the world through her art in the same profound way. This ambition was evident in her approach to both her music and, later, her acting. In both fields, she sought to create with integrity, to take risks, and to push herself beyond what was expected of her. But Larson's quest for perfection didn't just extend to her work itself. It also encompassed the kind of legacy she hoped to leave behind. In an interview with the Glam Guide, Larson shared a unique and insightful perspective on what she ultimately wanted her future to look like. Her vision, though not the typical celebrity aspiration, was both humble and profoundly meaningful. "For me, I would love to have a stamp. I know it's a weird answer, but I was at the post office and saw all the people who had stamps, Elvis Presley and Mother Teresa," Larson explained. "Everyone changed the world in some way through music, movies, or even charity. I think it would be awesome to have a stamp because you know you did something to change the world and change people's opinion or mind." Larson's reflection on the idea of a stamp might seem unconventional at first, but it speaks to a deep-rooted desire for impact and recognition, not in the form of fame, but in the form of meaningful contribution. The stamp, a symbol of recognition, isn't just a trivial accolade for Larson. It represents a validation of her influence on the world, a recognition that her work has left a lasting imprint on society. She admired figures like Elvis Presley and Mother Teresa because they weren't just famous. They had made a profound impact on the world through their respective fields. For Larson, achieving that kind of recognition wasn't about personal accolades or awards. It was about changing lives and shifting perspectives, even in small ways. Brie Larson's career has always been defined by her willingness to take on challenges, and this extends not only to the roles she chooses, but also to the characters she plays. A defining feature of Larson's approach to acting is her love for portraying individuals who are starkly different from her own personality, and this tendency is evident in her work. In 2010, at the age of 20, Larson took on the role of Kate Gregson, a rebellious teenager on the Showtime series United States of Terror. During an interview with Collider, Larson discussed how much she enjoyed playing Kate, a character who couldn't have been more different from her own upbringing. Larson reflected on her own teenage years and the contrast between her life and Kate's. "I do enjoy it because I never was a teenager like Kate was," she admitted. "I was homeschooled, was always very close with my mom, and was very straight-laced and square. I was never the rebellious one, and I never threw hissy fits. I was the type of person that would show a PowerPoint presentation about why I should do something versus crying and screaming over it." Larson's self-description was that of a disciplined, well-behaved child, someone who preferred to approach challenges with reason and logic rather than emotional outbursts. In contrast, her character Kate was everything Larson wasn't: wild, defiant, and prone to rebellious acts. This stark difference between Larson and Kate made the role particularly appealing to her. The challenge of stepping into a character so opposite from herself allowed Larson to stretch her acting muscles and explore a side of herself that she had never tapped into. It also offered a fun, liberating experience as an actress, since she got to indulge in playing a character who was free from the constraints of her own personality. However, Larson also emphasized that while it was thrilling to dive into the role of Kate, she still enjoyed the process of bringing a bit of herself into her characters. She recognized that a great performance often comes from blending the character's traits with some personal insight and authenticity. "It was fun to delve into that and be that terror that I never was. But it's also nice at the same time to bring a little bit more of me back into it and surprise people a little bit with the way this teenager acts," Larson explained. This statement reflects her nuanced approach to acting, where she didn't simply rely on external differences to shape the character, but also infused her own experiences and qualities to make the performance feel grounded and real. What Larson captures so beautifully in her portrayal of Kate is the balance between embracing the challenge of becoming someone drastically different from herself while also honoring her own identity as an actress. This balance is evident in many of her roles, where she seamlessly inhabits characters that are complex, multifaceted, and often worlds apart from her personal life. Whether playing a rebellious teenager, a strong-willed mother in Room, or a determined director in The Glass Castle, Larson's versatility shines through. Her ability to embrace these challenges and bring a bit of herself into each role is what makes her such a compelling and relatable actress. Her performances not only showcase her range, but also her deep commitment to bringing authenticity to every character she portrays. Larson has always had a passion for pushing boundaries in her work, and her ability to navigate such stark contrasts between herself and the characters she plays speaks to her skill, versatility, and fearless dedication to her craft. Through her unique approach, Larson has proven time and again that she is more than capable of transforming into anyone, no matter how different from her own experiences, while still making each role feel deeply personal and impactful. In 2012, Brie Larson's career took a significant step forward when she was cast in a major role in the film remake of 21 Jump Street. The film, a comedic take on the 1980s television series, saw Larson portraying a high school student in a world that was familiar to most, but entirely new to her in terms of her personal experiences. At the time, Larson was just 22 years old and had already made a name for herself in both independent films and television. This role gave her a broader audience, and it became another significant milestone in her growing career, proving that all of her hard work and dedication to her craft was paying off. The success of 21 Jump Street not only showcased her acting skills, but also solidified her place in Hollywood as a versatile and talented performer. Given the nature of the film, which centered around high school life and culture, Larson was frequently asked during interviews about her own high school experiences. However, as someone who had been homeschooled, Larson's answers to these questions were far from conventional. In a candid conversation with Collider, she reflected on her own educational journey and how it differed from the typical high school experience. Despite the many questions surrounding her lack of a traditional high school upbringing, Larson emphasized that she never felt like she was missing out. "I never thought that I missed out on anything. I never really wanted any of that," she explained. "I wasn't interested in going to the school dances. I wasn't interested in going to the football games. What I wanted was to be in my room painting my walls and doing weird stuff." For Larson, the desire to be an artist and follow her own unique path was always stronger than any societal expectations of what a normal high school experience should be. Homeschooling allowed her the freedom to explore her interests without the pressures of fitting in or conforming to the typical social structures of high school. Instead of participating in dances or football games, Larson spent her time being creative and discovering who she was outside the boundaries of traditional schooling. This independent spirit is something Larson has carried with her throughout her career, as she's never been one to follow the crowd or pursue fame for the sake of fitting into a specific mold. In another interview with MTV, Larson delved deeper into her sense of individuality and how she saw herself growing up. "I guess I was always an outsider and some kind of anarchist," she shared. This self-description speaks to Larson's rebellious nature and her refusal to adhere to societal expectations. From a young age, she embraced her individuality and found strength in being different. This outsider mentality became a part of her identity and helped shape the roles she would later choose in her career. Her experience as an outsider informed much of the characters she has portrayed, as she often gravitates toward roles that reflect her own independent, sometimes unconventional nature. Whether in 21 Jump Street or later in films like Room, Larson brings a level of authenticity to her roles that comes from her ability to relate to the feeling of being on the margins. Instead of following the typical path, Larson forged her own. And it's that authenticity that resonates with audiences. Brie Larson has always been transparent about the realities of working in Hollywood, and she has never shied away from discussing the challenges that come with the industry, particularly its financial uncertainties. In 2013, at the age of 24, Larson opened up in an interview with The Guardian, offering an honest look into the more difficult aspects of her career. She didn't sugarcoat the struggles that came with pursuing an acting career, and her vulnerability in sharing her story was both refreshing and relatable. Larson reflected on the financial pressures she had faced in the past, acknowledging that there had been times when things got so tight that she wasn't sure how she would make it through. "I have no problem talking about how hard it's been, how broke I've been, and how broke I was not even that long ago," she admitted. At the time, Larson was coming off a period when she had chosen to do independent films for the sake of the art rather than for financial gain. These were roles that aligned with her passion for acting, but they didn't always come with the paycheck that many people associate with a successful Hollywood career. Larson had chosen to focus on her craft, and while that was rewarding artistically, it wasn't always the most practical decision when it came to her finances. At one point, She was deeply concerned about her future in the industry. "I was freaking out around this time last year because I thought, this is it. I've really screwed myself because I did 3 independent films. I didn't do anything for money and now I don't have anything," Larson explained. The anxiety she felt during that time is something many actors experience, especially when they choose to take risks or pursue roles that are more creatively fulfilling rather than financially lucrative. To make ends meet, Larson even resorted to selling personal items on eBay, specifically to buy Christmas presents for loved ones. "I was eBaying stuff for Christmas presents," she revealed, underscoring just how tight her financial situation had been. Despite the overwhelming pressures and fears that come with these struggles, Larson made it clear that she would not compromise her values by taking roles just for the sake of money. She had a strong sense of integrity about her work and was determined to remain true to herself, even in the face of financial insecurity. "I won't do things for money I can't," she said emphatically. Larson's refusal to take on roles that didn't align with her values or artistic goals is a testament to her commitment to her craft. Rather than chasing after quick financial rewards, she was more interested in maintaining the integrity of her career and taking on projects that resonated with her. In times of financial hardship, Larson found a way to stay grounded by focusing on what truly mattered to her. She didn't panic or let fear dictate her decisions. Instead, she kept her perspective by reminding herself of the simpler pleasures in life. "I'll hold out and say, in my mind, there's a really cool diner down the street from my house. They make really good pancakes. I'd be happy doing that. I'd certainly be happier doing that than I would be on a set trying to be, a sexy football coach," she explained. This attitude exemplified her ability to find contentment even in difficult circumstances. She understood that at the end of the day, it wasn't about the fame or money. It was about being true to herself and her artistic vision. Larson's determination to stick to her values even during tough times also meant that she went through periods of frugality. "That means some really frugal years, but I don't have kids and I'm fine eating cereal if that's what it takes," she said, highlighting her willingness to make sacrifices in the short term for long-term fulfillment. It was a reminder that the pursuit of artistic integrity often requires personal sacrifice, but Larson was willing to make those sacrifices because she believed in the importance of doing work that was meaningful to her, regardless of the paycheck. In 2014, at just 24 years old, Brie Larson offered a rare and honest glimpse into the complexities of fame and the pressure to conform to the expectations of the entertainment industry. Speaking with Vulture, Larson reflected on the personal struggles she faced in finding the courage to pursue her own desires and remain true to herself amidst the demands of Hollywood. "To find the courage to do what I want to do for myself has been hard," she confessed. This sentiment reflected the internal battles she had to overcome as she navigated the spotlight, a place where the line between personal identity and public persona is often blurred. She shared that she wasn't alone in this struggle, mentioning her fellow actress Shailene Woodley, with whom she had bonded over their shared experiences in the industry. "We're both trying all the time to be truthful, and that can be exhausting," Larson explained, highlighting the emotional and psychological toll of constantly striving for authenticity in a world that often rewards artifice. Larson's discomfort with the superficial side of fame, particularly the focus on fashion and glam, was a recurring theme in her reflections. Unlike many actresses her age who embraced the glamorous side of Hollywood, Larson found little joy in the red carpet and photo ops. In fact, she admitted that the pressure to conform to the industry's expectations often made her feel uneasy. "I wanted to feel safe," she said, emphasizing her desire for security and authenticity in an environment that frequently celebrated outward appearances over inner substance. Larson's candidness revealed a side of fame that is often overlooked: the psychological burden of being scrutinized, judged, and constantly compared to others. The actress went on to discuss the discomfort she felt when asked to wear extravagant dresses and heels for high-profile events. "Too many times I've put on the dress and the heels and tried to be this person that they want me to be, and I can feel myself getting itchy," she explained. This metaphor of feeling itchy captured the deep sense of discomfort Larson felt as she tried to conform to the glamorous image the industry expected from her. While many stars embraced the opportunity to wear couture and attend lavish events, Larson's experience was different. She didn't want to be defined by the clothes she wore or the persona that was created for her by others. Moreover, Larson touched on the negative side effects of the constant image comparisons that women in Hollywood face, especially through the lens of the media. She recognized how easy it was for her to fall into a pattern of self-criticism when she saw photos of other actresses. Photos are taken at these events, and those photos are just another thing for women to compare themselves to and feel put down, she said, speaking to the toxic nature of these comparisons. Larson acknowledged how even she could fall victim to the pressures of unattainable beauty standards. "I know that I can start going off in my brain about silly things like, why is Cate Blanchett's skin so perfect? And I need to stop myself." This moment of vulnerability revealed how the industry's focus on beauty and perfection can affect even the most successful and confident individuals. And Larson's self-awareness in recognizing these negative thought patterns was a testament to her commitment to personal growth and mental health. What sets Larson apart from many of her peers is her ability to resist getting caught up in the flashy side of Hollywood. While many actresses might chase the spotlight, Larson remained grounded in her love for the craft of acting itself. She wasn't interested in being celebrated for her appearance or for playing into the glamour of fame. Instead, she was focused on her art and the stories she could tell. Her dedication to staying true to her authentic self, even when it meant stepping away from the superficial trappings of celebrity, made her a refreshing figure in an industry that often prioritizes image over substance. 2015 was a landmark year for Brie Larson as it marked the release of Room, the film that would not only elevate her career to new heights, but also earn her an Academy Award for Best Actress. The movie, based on Emma Donohue's novel, featured Larson in an incredibly challenging and intense role as Ma, a young woman held captive for years in a small room, and her journey to freedom with her young son. Larson's portrayal of Ma was both raw and emotionally charged, requiring her to dive deep into the psychological and physical challenges of the character. The film's success, both critically and commercially, cemented Larson as one of Hollywood's most talented and versatile actresses. To prepare for this demanding role, Larson underwent a thorough and immersive process that required her to mentally and physically embody the experiences of her character. She dedicated herself fully to the role, even altering her mindset in profound ways. In an interview with NPR, Larson explained how she trained her brain during the 8 months of preparation leading up to shooting Room. She described one of the techniques she used to get into her character's headspace, which involved creating physical sensations that would mimic the pain and discomfort Ma would experience in captivity. "For instance, with Room, as I was prepping in those 8 months, things like my wrists had to be sore," Larson explained. "And so I started wiring my brain to think that my wrist was sore so that by the time we started shooting, I didn't have to remember, oh, my wrists are sore. I can't do that." "I almost felt it like a phantom pain in my wrist." This level of dedication is indicative of Larson's passion for her craft and her commitment to bringing authenticity to her performances. Her approach to acting is deeply methodical, involving mental and physical preparation that goes beyond typical rehearsals. She doesn't simply memorize lines or learn blocking. She immerses herself fully in the experiences of the character, down to the minutiae of how it feels to live in her world. By wiring her brain to feel what her character would feel, Larson was able to move beyond intellectual understanding of her role and fully inhabit it, creating a performance that felt both deeply real and emotionally poignant. However, Larson also recognizes the need to quickly transition from one role to the next, despite the emotional and psychological investment she makes in each character. Acting, particularly in a film like Room, can take a significant toll on an actor's mental and emotional state, and Larson has learned that she must clean house after completing a project. She described this process of moving on by saying, "When the movie is done, you have to clean house and rewire your brain again." This quote speaks to the mental flexibility required to be an actor, especially when transitioning between complex roles. After pouring so much of herself into a character, Larson has learned the importance of letting go and shifting focus when the project is finished. It's a skill that many actors struggle with, but Larson's ability to compartmentalize and move on from one role to another reflects her professionalism and emotional resilience. The emotional and mental challenges of playing such a heavy role in Room required an immense amount of personal dedication and discipline, but Larson's ability to compartmentalize and reset after completing a project reveals a level of self-awareness and maturity in her career. She's not just a talented performer, she's someone who understands the need for balance and mental health in the demanding world of acting. This balance between deep immersion in a role and the ability to quickly transition between projects is one of the reasons why Larson has become known for her ability to take on a wide variety of roles, from heart-wrenching dramas to lighter, more comedic fare. As Brie Larson's career soared into new heights in 2016, her fame and recognition grew exponentially. Her extraordinary performance in Room had earned her numerous accolades, including an Academy Award for Best Actress. And with her newfound recognition, she was ready to take on even bigger projects. Among the exciting developments for Larson was her casting in Kong, Skull Island, a high-profile action movie that would not only broaden her range as an actress, but also introduce her to a new genre and audience. However, despite the thrilling opportunities, Larson found herself grappling with the challenges that came with her rising fame, something she was still learning to navigate. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Larson opened up about how overwhelming the attention had become. She expressed how difficult it was to reconcile her desire for privacy with the reality of her public life. "I can't help but trip out about how similar my life is to Room. It's me wanting to stay in my own little bubble and remain anonymous and invisible, and at the same time needing to step up to this hand that I've been given," she said. Larson's words reflected the inner conflict that many stars face, the push and pull between the personal desire for solitude and the professional obligation to step into the spotlight. After spending much of her career out of the public eye, her sudden ascent to fame forced her to navigate uncharted territory where maintaining privacy became an increasingly difficult balancing act. Despite her discomfort with the attention, Larson remained committed to her craft, ensuring that she gave each of her new roles and each of the interviews that came with them the same level of dedication. She recognized that the process of promoting films and engaging with the public was an essential part of her job, but it was one that continually pushed her beyond her comfort zone. "When I leave an interview, I learn whether I feel, 'Oh, that was nice,' or 'that made me feel like a little piece of me was taken,'" she explained. Larson's acknowledgement of the emotional impact of interviews was a poignant insight into the hidden costs of fame. For many actors, the process of constantly sharing their thoughts, personal experiences, and emotions can be draining, and Larson was no exception. The line between maintaining a sense of authenticity and guarding her personal self became a delicate balance, one she was constantly navigating. This sense of vulnerability and the fine line between being open and feeling exposed was something Larson took very seriously. "It's a line that is always on the edge of being crossed, and once you cross it, what's next?" she reflected. Larson's awareness of the risks of overexposure and emotional exhaustion highlighted her thoughtful approach to fame. She understood that while public appearances and interviews were an inevitable part of her career, they also had the potential to take a toll on her sense of self. Each interaction, whether it was a positive experience or one that left her feeling drained, was a learning opportunity that helped her navigate the complexities of the entertainment industry. Brie Larson has long been known for her honesty and openness, a trait that has made her one of the most authentic voices in Hollywood. Her candidness, however, has sometimes led to moments where her body language speaks louder than words, especially when she finds herself in uncomfortable situations. One such moment occurred at the 2017 Academy Awards, when Larson was tasked with presenting the Oscar for Best Actor to Casey Affleck, who had been accused of sexual harassment by two women prior to the ceremony. Larson's reaction to Affleck's win was widely noticed, as her facial expression appeared visibly less than thrilled, and her body language reflected an awkward discomfort with the situation. The moment sparked significant attention from both fans and the press, who read her silence and unease as a quiet protest against the recognition of a man who had been publicly accused of misconduct. While Larson's response in that moment was largely nonverbal, it spoke volumes about her personal beliefs and her stance on important social issues. However, Larson did not leave the issue unaddressed for long. In an interview with Jane Fonda for Net-a-Porter, Larson opened up about the emotional and psychological toll of playing characters who had experienced sexual abuse, which had deeply impacted her. Larson's role in Room, where she played a woman who was held captive and sexually abused, and her involvement in other projects that tackled similar themes, pushed her to confront these difficult topics on a personal level. The more she immersed herself in these roles, the more she felt compelled to speak up about issues of sexual harassment and assault, which at the time were becoming more widely discussed in the wake of the Me Too movement. Larson explained that playing these roles ignited something in her, a desire to use her platform to advocate for change and speak out against injustices. However, as she began to vocalize her thoughts and engage in the conversation, she encountered a significant amount of backlash. Larson acknowledged that speaking out can often feel isolating, especially when it seems like so many people are against you. It can get wild, especially on social media, she shared. She elaborated that she had been subjected to a great deal of criticism, with many people telling her that she didn't know what she was talking about or that her views were misguided. When so many people tell you that, it's easy to start believing it, she confessed. The weight of this negative feedback, particularly in such a public and polarized environment, was undeniably difficult for Larson to bear. However, Larson's resolve was not shaken by the criticism. Despite the backlash, she made it clear that she would never back down from standing up for what she believes in. "I'd put it all on the line and be an activist for the rest of my life," she boldly stated. For Larson, the fight for justice and equality was not just a fleeting cause, but something deeply ingrained in her sense of purpose. "It doesn't feel right to me to be quiet," she added, emphasizing her commitment to using her voice and platform to advocate for those who are silenced or oppressed. Larson's unwavering stance showed that, while the pressures of fame and public scrutiny might make it difficult to speak out, she was more than willing to face those challenges in order to stand up for what she believes is right. What do you think about Brie Larson's changes? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.